Hey everybody, welcome to this short interview. Today I'm going to be talking with one of our great Azure community members here in Sydney. Rather than stealing his thunder, I'm going to let him introduce himself. So Haitham, welcome, and why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Simon. Thanks for having me. So my name is Haitham Shaddad. I started my career like 15 years ago. Since day one, I was actually I didn't start with Microsoft technology. I was doing some Java, PHP, and then I moved into the .NET ecosystem. And I felt in love with Microsoft technology since this day. Basically, I'm currently using .NET and Azure since, I believe, day one, since there was this classic Azure portal. And the only thing there was just virtual machines, storage, and some virtual networks. So far, we are using Azure to host our product in my current work and also in my previous work. Basically, Azure was the only platforms that I was using. I have a bit of knowledge about some other cloud providers, but basically just Azure and Microsoft.NET. I don't mind doing some JavaScript and TypeScript, but yeah.
I've seen your JavaScript skills in that demo that awesome demo that you did. So I think you're pretty good at JavaScript as well. Don't undersell yourself there.
Yeah.
I know that you're going to be doing a session for ANZ Serverless Days 2020. Do you want to tell us a bit about what you're covering in that session?
Yeah, sure. So in Build 2020, Microsoft announced the new service around building static web apps. And I was really impressed to see this service because I have built a few single page apps with some Azure Functions or just .NET APIs with .NET Core. And I always found it very hard to host the single page apps. I was just in a call 1 month ago with one of my front-end developers who was struggling to build something to host his single page app with React or Angular. But when I tried the service, it was like, just create a service, link it to your GitHub profile, and that was it. Literally, you don't have to do anything about it. So basically, the talk will be around static web apps. This is still in preview in Azure, and it makes the life of every developer much easier if you want to have one single place to host your single page app and your back-end services with Azure Functions. This is the way to go. So with a click of a button, you have a website that hosts your backend and your single page apps, regardless what framework it is. It is configured for Angular, for React, Vue, anything really. It also has this awesome feature for when you review a PR or something. Usually, you don't get to see the application itself or what does this PR do. With this service, you can simply, whenever you create a PR, it creates an environment, deploy the application or the new PR to it, and this is how you can see both the code and a live version of it. So basically, the talk will be around the service introduction, builder, some awesome demos. I'm already done with the recording. I sent it to the guys and just waiting for the review.
I saw that come in this morning. Appreciate that. And if it's along the same lines as the one you did at the last Azure user group, I think people that catch that session are going to be in for a treat because it was a really slick demo from end to end. It really shows you the whole workflow. So it's good to see that you managed to get that session in for the event.
Yeah.
More broadly speaking, I mean, at the start there you were talking about, you've had a fairly long and distinguished career and done a lot of things during that time. Obviously, Azure and the whole serverless space or cloud in the serverless space is relatively new if we consider the whole industry as it's been. What do you see as the kind of the value proposition to, say, a developer looking to move to Azure and then maybe looking to move to Azure Serverless specifically?
Yeah. So with the current, like the new DDD and event-driven and all of that, serverless makes it very easy. So imagine if you want to build an event-driven system where components are isolated and they're communicating with each other with messages. If you are using your own ecosystem, it would be really hard. But with something like Azure Functions, if you want to build just a serverless function that maybe sends an email or notify some people about something that happened, like what I used to do is to set up a full.NET Framework application, deploy it to virtual machine or an Azure App Service. But now all I have to do just install the Azure Functions core tools, func new, write my code, and that's it. One command, create a new function, one command, deploy it, and that's it. With event-driven, if you want something just to listen for a function, for an event on Azure Service Hub or Azure Event Hub or anything, you basically have it in a few minutes. You can end up with a full-fledged system that is running without any efforts from your side. So basically, Azure takes care of everything. And also the same thing goes for databases. So I know that Azure Cosmos DB, they are working on a new pricing tier to be serverless. So from a cost perspective, serverless also makes the cost very optimized. You only pay for what you use. From a scalability perspective, you don't have to worry much about what resources are there. You only focus on what you want to do, your events, your data, and that's it. So yeah, I guess the Azure has, especially in my current work, Azure makes our life much easier with Azure Functions and even with Kubernetes. So we have to scale, especially in this time everybody is looking for online sales, and to cope with all of this extra load, we're using the Kubernetes to make the scalability easier. And Kubernetes can be hard to manage, but with Azure Kubernetes Service also makes our life much easier.
Yeah, so it's definitely, from my standpoint, as a developer, right? You very much put the power in the developer's hands to deliver those solutions in a much more rapid fashion, and in many instances feel less constrained, right? I think oftentimes people coming from a traditional background feel like they have to get things right first time.
Yeah.
You know, like the opportunity cost of getting it wrong or not 100% accurate, or even a high percentage accurate in that first iteration is viewed as problematic. Whereas when you start to move into an environment like Azure, generally speaking, and serverless more specifically, the opportunity cost of getting that MVP out of the door and then iterating on it is much more appealing, because like you've highlighted, right, all the infrastructure and process and stuff you used to have to put around the outside of delivering just a bit of working software has been greatly reduced. It's not fully gone, but it's tiny in comparison with what it used to be. So it's from my standpoint, I think you're spot on there, what you've talked about.
Yeah.
All right, look, thanks a lot for your time this morning, Haitham. Really appreciate you having a chat to me. Looking forward to seeing the session at ANZ Serverless Days. Thanks a lot. If you tuned in to watch this quick interview, please make sure to check out Haitham's blog, follow him on Twitter. We'll put his details up on the screen. You'll be able to see them on the end of this video. Thanks a lot for joining me today, Haitham, and I hope things are going well in your part of the world.
Yeah, thanks, Simon.